What's going on, everybody? My name is Caleb. Welcome back to my channel, and today I will be turning Chance the Rapper's The Big Day into the best album ever. So I came up with this concept not too long ago when I was rewatching the Big Day interview Chance did before the album came out, where he said that his goal for this project was simply to make the best album ever. Now this is the same interview where Chance said that Acid Rap is the best album ever, so if you see those headlines, know that I'm not confused, he is. As you know, that album kind of flopped. Now there was a few things that was wrong with it. The skits weren't great, the narrative kind of changed, but simply put, the album was too long. 22 tracks is ridiculous, and I get that he wanted to do something big for the big day, but I thought that it would be much better suited if I would cut down this track list in half, rearrange it, and come out with the best message and narrative for the big day while keeping the concept the same. Why did I choose 11 songs? Because my debut album had 11 songs on it. My criteria for this is pretty simple. Number one is cohesion. I think that cohesion is the most important aspect of making a good album. The story and the narrative has to remain the same, which leads into the concept and the message being the second criteria. This meaning that the lyrics and the message stays the same, the lyrics stay impactful, they keep you on your toes, and that they don't get lazy. The third piece of criteria is the production. If you want a classic album, you gotta have some pretty amazing production behind every track. And the final criteria is playback value. I think that albums are meant to be played over and over again, but some people don't, so that's why I have it ranked 4th on my criteria list. Before I get into the track by track breakdown, if y'all don't mind doing me a favor and hitting that subscribe button, I am trying my best to hit 200 subs by the end of the month. I'm at like 138-ish right now, I think. So we have 25 days to get there. We can do that. Let's do it. Also, a really good way to help this channel grow is to hit a like button and go ahead and turn that notification bell on too if you haven't already. Okay, now let's get into it. So the first things first, this is easy. I think this is a universal choice. Cut all the scripts, all these interludes. I think Chance tried a little bit too hard to make something like The College Dropout. Now that worked with Kanye with the interludes. They told the story, they kept it moving, but these ones just don't. They don't fit, except for 4 quarters in the black. Kind of makes sense going into 5-year plan, but besides that, they're not necessary for this project. The perfect intro for this album is already there at number 1, All Day Long featuring John Legend. I think that Chance chose this very well. I think it brings all the good vibes, all the bounciness that Chance is about, while keeping a good up-tempo and introduction into what is supposed to be the greatest album ever. Track number 2 also stays the same with Do You Remember featuring Death Cab for Cutie. This is one of my favorite songs that Chance has ever dropped. It's so easygoing, so relaxing, and fun and motivational at the same time. All of the things that Chance is about, I think that he absolutely nailed this. Listening to this for the first time after the first 2 tracks, I was like, oh, this album is about to be amazing. Yeah, I spoke too soon. Now, track number 3 might be a little bit different than what you're expecting. I went with Big Fish featuring Gucci Mane. It's more or less a song about maturing, so I think that it fits really well in the first quarter to a third of the album before we get into the real juice and the storyline. This leads directly into the next song, which is 5-Year Plan featuring Randy Newman. Now, I know this is going to be a controversial choice. Some of y'all won't like that I threw this in there, but let me explain myself. Chance's part is good. Can we all just agree on that? Chance had a really good part in this song. What was wrong with it was the Randy Newman thing. It just didn't work for me, and it didn't work for most of the listeners. It was goofy without trying to be goofy, which is okay in some aspects, but it's never good in music. And the original 22 track cut, however, this was not one of the worst 10 moments of the big day, so I felt like I could justify throwing it in here and it being probably the worst part of my edition of the album. So can we just be cool with that? Not to mention, it's the perfect link from Big Fish to track number 5, which is Get a Bag featuring, Calboy? Get a Bag is a fun song about obviously getting money, which leads into our next song, Rue, featuring Taylor Bennett. Now, to be honest, it was kind of hard to find positioning for this song, but it was so good. It has probably 2 of the top 5 verses in this album that I couldn't leave it off. After a while of trying to arrange the track list, I think that it sits perfectly between Get a Bag and the next song, which is Let's Go On a Run featuring Knox Fortune, because Rue is more or less about the struggle, the come up. So it's more of a reflective song already in the first place on the album. It makes sense that it would be a reflective song of after you get the bag, right before you fall in love and want to go on the run. So yeah, track 7, like I said, Let's Go On a Run, is a really fun song, and we're kind of kicking off that concept of falling in love, getting married, having the big day. Oh, side note, I didn't actually know that the big day was a reference to the wedding until I listened to the album all the way through. Maybe that's a little embarrassing, maybe you guys knew that before it came out, but between the artwork and the rollout of the project, Groceries was the only single and it wasn't even on the album. It just didn't really make sense. And then by the end of the project, I was like, oh, this man's talking about his big day. After Let's Go On the Run, for track 8, I decided to go with I Got You, Always and Forever, featuring En Vogue, Ari Lennox, and Kara Sheard. I didn't love this song at first, but in the storyline of the album, I think that it sits a lot better in the back half, right before the wedding day, than it did originally with track 4 or something out of the 22 cut album. It just didn't make a ton of sense, but moving it back here works. The verses are pretty good. The chorus is alright, and it's bouncy and it's fun, and that's what weddings are about. Next are probably 2 of the 3 best songs on the project. Number 9 being We Go High. If you haven't heard this project, at least listen to this song. It's about his relationship with his wife, obviously, but also about his relationship with God and how that impacts his marriage, his family, and all of his choices. It's really nice. I think that it sits really well here between I Got You and the next song, Sun Come Down. Sun Come Down was one of the most popular songs directly after the album dropped, behind Hot Shower, which you'll notice isn't here. Rightfully so. It's literally talking about his wedding day, talking about him and his wife, Kinsley, and the second baby on the way, which is here now, I guess. I don't have too much to say about it. If you heard the album, then you know that this is a really, really good song. It sits alright in the track listing already, but I really like it as the second to last song. Final song, the outro, it was already there, Zanies and Fools, featuring Darius Scott and Nicki Minaj. Now, if you know me, you know that I don't like Nicki Minaj. I don't think she's that talented, but having said that, this might have been her best verse ever. I don't listen to her stuff a lot, so I don't really have great ground to stand on, but I've heard enough to know that this was the best that I've heard. Does that make sense? Now, there was still a 4-bar rift where she wasn't like good at all, but the verse overall was nice, and it makes sense in the concept of the album. Zanies and Fools is about making it to where you want it to go, even though everyone else thinks that you're crazy. For example, Chance promoting wholesome marriage in a culture of hip-hop that is not about marriage at all. I think that it's a really nice ending to the album originally, and even more so, it's a good cap off to this 11-track cut. Some songs that I considered but barely missed out were Town on a Hill. It's a good track, it's just a little too boring for it to be on the best album ever. Handsome is a good song as far as Chance part is concerned, but Megan Thee Stallion was awful on this. It was a terrible verse, and I don't think that I could have justified putting it on here. I tried, it didn't work. Last song, I didn't consider too hard, but Ballin' Flossin' has a really good chorus by Shawn Mendes. Chance's part was too repetitive, it was too bouncy, it was a little like anxiety inducing for me, so I didn't think that I could have really thrown it on here. So just to run through the track list again one more time really quick, we have All Day Long, Do You Remember, Big Fish, 5-Year Plan, Get a Bag, Rue, Let's Go on the Run, I Got You, Always and Forever, We Go High, Sun Come Down, and Zanies and Fools. If y'all think that I missed something or I messed up somewhere, let me know. This is obviously a super subjective take. Chance has been one of my favorite rappers for the last 4 or 5 years now, so I was pretty excited when this album came out. Like many, I was a little disappointed, but I think it was very much overhated, and simply cutting the track list down would have taken it from a flop to potentially a classic. Now, I don't think even this track list is the greatest album ever. I don't even think it's top 5, to be honest with you, but it's probably the best Chance project that we're gonna get. Thank you guys so much for watching. The channel has been growing recently. Y'all have been showing really good love. I appreciate that a ton. My new website, shopapexfrazier.com, is up and running now. I still have just a very few Lemons and Lemonade shirts left, like select sizes only, so if you want to grab one, go ahead and order. I might have to re-up maybe for like a Black Friday deal or something. Let me know in the comments below. That would be something that you'd be interested in me doing. And until next time, peace.